With social media taking over the world, it's become extremely more prevalent in recent times that it's getting very, very easy to rewrite football and its history. It seems to be a recurring theme every time you log into Twitter now, and I'm not just talking about one fan base in particular, but I'm talking about just in general. You can't go on Twitter and go through threads talking about the past without 13-year-olds hiding behind AVIs of Anthony Martial telling you that it's irrelevant, it doesn't matter, or it was that long ago, it doesn't count. That seems to be the general theme now when it comes to football. And as someone who has a working brain, to a certain extent, it really annoys me. I wish that we could live in a world where social media didn't give you such a representation of the modern football fan, because we all know that normal match-going fans aren't like that. The vast majority of them aren't anyway, and we all have our stupid opinions, and we looked at that the other day on this channel, but on social media, it's so easy to get dragged in and bite to the worst of the worst opinions. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. So yeah, the Lisbon Lions, one of the greatest teams in football history. I'm not going to spend my time telling you about them or what they've done, because if you don't know by now, then that's your own fault. The Lisbon Lions, quite frankly, are what I think the most memorable, the most historic, and the most special team in football history for what they accomplished as a team. As a group of lads who done what they done together. They went to Lisbon and against all odds won the big cup and became the first British team in football history to do so. And that to this day is something that should be cherished, remembered, and sort of, acknowledged for how great a feat it was. But as I said, with social media, with the modern football fan, that doesn't seem to happen. I'm trying my best to be as unbiased in saying this. Of course, I'm a Celtic fan, and of course, I'm going to bum up what I think is the best team in footballing history. But, I still think there has to be a real understanding of what this team is and how important they are in football history. The greats will tell you, the greats will acknowledge how good they were and how big this achievement was. And Alex Ferguson's words, they're the greatest team in football history. And that's coming from the greatest manager in football history, you could say. And what they've done is something that can be belittled because of how football has changed. Now, I've kind of spoke about this briefly on my channel in the past, but football has changed. And of course, 55 years ago in 1967, the players of that year would probably get their arse handed to them by most modern day athletes. Why? Because, sports science is better, the human race has developed in general, facilities are better, football players aren't smoking and drinking the way they used to. Of course they would get beat by most modern athletes. The world is a completely different place and the sport's a completely different thing. But that doesn't mean that things that were accomplished at their time in a certain sport, whether it be football, basketball, Formula 1 or anything else, shouldn't be appreciated for what it is and shouldn't be compared with a lot of today's stuff and today's achievements, because it should be. Celtic winning the European Cup back in 1967 is as impressive as Celtic going and winning it in the modern day and age of football. Both, respective to their eras, have a huge importance. It's just impressive no matter what. It should be. And a lot of people are quick to disregard that because it was 55 years ago. Apparently it was an easier time to do things, and apparently it just, in the words of some, doesn't count. Now, I think we're a couple of weeks off this being a hot topic, but something has brought it back up, and we'll discuss that in a moment. But a couple of weeks ago, for example, when Rangers were in the final of the Europa League against Frankfurt, the Rangers fans were trying to claim that if they won that Europa League final, it would become a bigger, a better achievement than Celtic winning the European Cup in 1967. Now, listen, everybody's entitled to their opinion, and if you think so, that's fair on you, but at the end of the day, they're not even the same competition. In fact, this competition is one that is in the second tier of European competitions. Celtic won the first tier, they won the big cup, something that Rangers never have or never will win. And to compare a Europa League with a Champions League, it makes no sense from the get-go because they're not even the same competition. If Rangers were to go and win the European Cup or the Champions League right now, then maybe that would be bigger than Celtic's 1967 achievement. That's up to you to determine. But you can't say that about a Europa League. That's ridiculous. It's not even the same. And people bringing up the teams that Celtic played and the amount of games that Celtic played on the way there, it wasn't the same as Rangers going through a group stage and this, that, next thing. Once again, these are respective to each of their eras, and we can appreciate both of them in their time. There's no denying that Rangers winning the Europa League, if they did, which they didn't, by the way, if they did win it, it wouldn't have been not impressive. I'm not saying that it would have been, something to laugh at, but it's just not in the same level. But we can still appreciate it. You can still, well, I wouldn't, but I mean, you can still appreciate that. It's still a great achievement for a Scottish football club. It's just not 1967 though. And that was the big talk of the time when it came to that Europa League final. However, the BBC put up a poll over the past few days to help determine what they think is the greatest side in club football history. And the winners of said poll, yes, you better believe it, it was Celtic's 1966-67 side, the Lisbon Lions, which went on to win 5 available trophies that season. It's never been done before, and it will never be done ever again when it comes to a British football club winning everything that was available to them. Liverpool gave it a fair crack this year, but they ended up walking away with 2 out of 4. Winning 5, it'll never be done again, and that's why these things should be appreciated. You can say it was easy all you like, but the thing is, we're the ones sitting in couches rather than playing football. So your Billy McNeils, your Stevie Chalmers, your Bertie Alls and your Tommy Gemmels, they done it. The majority of us have never done it, and we never will. So I thought to myself, why not? Let's have a little look through the posts that were saying, Celtic's Lisbon Lions named the greatest club of all time and blah, 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 and see what the reaction was. Because there was some totally normal responses to this, and I thought it'd be quite funny to have a look through them, have a little bit of a laugh, and reply to some of them. So I have loaded up Twitter, and I've searched the keywords, of course, Lisbon Lions on my screen to try and find some of these replies in the posts. And we'll start with the top one here, which gathered about 2,207 likes. Celtic Lisbon Lions named the greatest club team ever as Manchester United, Liverpool, and Barcelona heroes miss out. So let's have a wee look through, shall we? First of all, courtesy of Scotland's champions here on Twitter, should we have a little bit of a look of some of the replies on the follow forums, because some of them there were absolutely hilarious. Folk begging, don't vote for Celtic, make sure you vote for another team, make sure you give the best chance of Celtic losing. It's a BBC poll. This is one thing, let's get this clear. It's a BBC poll. What does it matter? Why take it so personally? Who cares? You know what I mean? Like, as a Celtic fan, yeah, I'm happy that Celtic have been voted by the fans. But at the end of the day, it's a BBC poll that not even half the country have seen. It doesn't determine anything, so why take it so personally? Grow up. It's a poll. Stop greeting. But this is some greeting here, by the way. Let's have a look through. Those that are refusing to vote need to understand that they will go on and on about this, and it'll be in the Scottish media. They can't be allowed to win this vote. So those that have not voted, just vote for Barca to make sure that Barca win. It's literally as pointless as having a bike in your trophy room. It's a poll. Who cares? Who cares? Voted from a few places around the world. Regarding that, when I turn on my VPN, why is that sometimes it allows me to vote again, but other times it says only one vote? Surely if the IP address or even the country has changed, then it should appear as a new user. Ian here having a totally normal one, using his VPN to vote multiple times, just to make sure Celtic don't win the big BBC poll. A poll clearly set up to give them something to cling on to in terms of Europe when they watched on with jealousy at us this season. I voted Barcelona, and we have just over an hour to get them back in front, but it looks unlikely. Boo fucking who. What a sad, desperate lot they are. Now, the irony of desperateness, when these guys are on forums trying to convince the thousands to turn the tide of the vote, I didn't even know the vote was going on. I also find it hilarious how it's like something to cling on to, as if somebody at the BBC's turned around and went, fuck, we better put up a poll to make sure Celtic have something in Europe this season. I'm sure that was the thinking. Laughable. All you need to do is look at the teams comparing it in and the scores that were involved to compare this European Cup, and domestic wins against the great Barca team is embarrassing. Now, This is once again, how is it, when do we determine, and this is a point that I've made before, when do we determine that things count and matter? Is there just a year that football actually starts? Is that it? Do we just disregard everything? Do we disregard your Bobby Charltons, your George Bests, your Pelés, your Eusebios, your Di Stefanos, all these players? Do we just disregard that? Do we just ignore that they came around and happened? It's not their fault they were born and played at a certain time when the world wasn't evolved enough to the point it is now. And also, in the future, are we just going to disregard what's happening right now? Is it going to get to the year 2063? Football's going to be on another level yet again. Sports science and fitness and everything else is going to be on yet another level. And we're just going to say, see all the teams, see that Barcelona team back in 2011, they were actually quite mince. They were rotten, they didn't play that, they're nothing. Is that what we're going to do? Is that really what we're going to do? This is the problem with social media and the brainwash effect that seems to be going on when it comes to trying to convince folk that football in the past just doesn't matter. Football in the past has shaped everything that we have came to right now. That team, 67, shaped everything Celtic's about. It's helped shape everything Scotland's about. It's helped shape everything that the European Cup's about. They all have their impacts and they all have their effects when it comes to the past and the present and the future. Behave, for fuck's sake. Barca under Pep would have took 10 off them. Of course they would have. Of course, no one's saying they wouldn't. This is why can people not understand that we're talking about them in their respective eras? No one's trying to say that the Lisbon Lions would beat Pep's Barca. Fucking hell, I know Messi would run rings round them. Because he happens to have been born 40 years after the Lisbon Lions were a thing. Unbelievable, honestly. The Daily Record one is sure to have some funny replies. That'll be good. Let's have a look through. They wouldn't even make the groups in the modern game. I don't think people have brains. I really don't. This is like, imagine you tried to tell somebody that Jesse Owens would win the 100-metre sprint. It's not going to happen. Why? Because fucking you say it's like comparing a 1954 Formula 1 car with a 2022 Formula 1 car. Things have evolved. It's just the way of life. One of the funniest accounts on Twitter, I say ironically, as voted for by Celtic fans, worst cup run of all time, played nobody and beat a finished team in the final. Played nobody. Champions of their respective nations, by the way. Not something that you see that regularly in the Europa League. Tim's hijack a poll. What a scoop. Well, you had the chance to vote. It seems that a lot of your pals were trying their best to get Barcelona voted for, but it never seemed to work. I think generally what we have seen is ruffled the favours of all the right people, and I know that there is plenty of sensible fans out there who personally just don't care. And rightly so, because it's a BBC poll. So for Rangers fans who might be watching this video and saying to themselves, you know, I don't really care, good on you, because you shouldn't. I don't even care that we've won the fucking poll, to be quite honest. You know, it'd be nice if UEFA or FIFA or whatever came out with an official award. I mean, oh, he's the greatest club team of all time. I'd celebrate. It'd be nice, thank you very much. But it's a poll, an online poll, used to write an article that has ruffled favours. That's exactly what's been meant to have happened, and it's exactly what's happened. The greatest team in football history will never be answered. It's a subjective topic where everyone is going to have their own opinions. In my opinion, it is the Lisbon Lions, but I'm never going to moan at anybody for saying it's not. I'm never going to moan at anybody for saying it's Barcelona, for it's Manchester United, anybody. You know, all these teams are rightfully, in their respective eras and times, some of the greatest things that football have ever given us, and we should appreciate that for each in their own. But people throwing their toys at the pram over a BBC poll, I think, is quite frankly hilarious, when we are overall just looking at a team that were absolutely incredible, one of the ones that should be remembered and deserve to be remembered. Yeah, a bit of a just random video today because I thought it was hilarious looking at all that, so yeah. I'm enjoying kind of going through the Twitter stuff recently. It's fun. It's really fun. Anyway, make sure to hit like and subscribe. It's been a laugh. We'll be back with some Celtic news and such tomorrow, hopefully. But yeah, that'll do us. See you all next time.